Howdy and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to get acquainted with the CS128 development environment. At the beginning of this lesson, I expect you to have already gone through the published documentation on setting this environment up. I also will go ahead and continue forward with the impression that you know how to turn on and turn off the virtual machine or container, which serves as your development environment in this course. If you need a recap of that, go ahead and feel free to revisit that documentation. And if that's not provides a explanation that makes sense to you, please go ahead and pop into office hours or make a post on the course discussion board. We're happy to help and get you there. The reason why I'm not showing that operation here is we have some students still using a virtual machine and others are developing in a Docker container. So the process is just a little bit different depending on which environment you're using. However, once you get the VM or container up and running, the process is identical in terms of its integration with Microsoft VS Code, as well as how we've structured things in terms of shared folders that are accessible both locally and in the remote machine. Which brings me to the next point. Essentially, what we've set up for you is a kind of machine within your machine, which will handle all of the compilation of the source files associated with your solutions to the MPs, LabWorks, etc. We've also included some additional software that provides a linting capability. So effectively, as you're typing code into VS Studio Code, it will provide some feedback in terms of your composition, similar to how Microsoft Word will provide, squiggly underscores to bring your attention to different phrases or sentences that you're producing. We'll have something similar here. Hopefully the feedback that it will provide will be informational, and you'll be able to take that and run with it, make corrections to kind of improve your composition. We've also included some auto formatting. Essentially, each time you save, we're going to go ahead and automatically format your code against the Google style guide, or as close to it as we could. A rationale for this is, well, my experience teaching an introductory programming course, a lot of students tend to have an inconsistent style, or they're unaware of what properly formatted code looks like. This way, each time you save, you're going to be exposed to properly formatted code, and that will hopefully, the more you're looking at it, hopefully you'll begin to kind of mirror the formatting that we're expecting of you as you go through this course. So what I plan to cover in this lesson video is going to be connecting to that remote host through the Microsoft Visual Studio Code. I'll talk briefly about creating, opening, and editing files within VS Code and kind of where they go, just to remind you that, hey, if you put them in this directory, you will be easily, they will reside on your local machine, and it will make submitting those files to the autograder a lot easier than trying to pull them down off of the remote machine, which we won't even cover because we're expecting you to be operating within that shared directory. I'm also going to briefly introduce navigating the command line, which will essentially serve as a text-based kind of interface to that remote device which you are developing on. In addition to that, I will run through some basic compilation and execution, and then I'll go ahead and finish up today's lesson with an introduction to the line-by-line debugging, which we will provide for you, or that will rather be set up for each assignment that you download. This will allow you to essentially kind of step through your code, executing each line by each line, and kind of observing the overall state of your program at the particular line which you're executing. This will provide some insightful feedback and will really help you as you're going through and trying to determine where bugs might present in your code or otherwise. So with that, let's go ahead and get started.